Hey everyone, it's Kim Velez. I'm really excited that you're here with me. So make sure that you stay tuned for today's video because we're going to talk about something that can happen as you're manifesting and changing your 3D and your inner story is conforming, and we get some of this, shitty behavior, not so great behavior from an SP, or something isn't coming in consistently. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. It's not really about hot and cold per se. It's more about understanding how your thoughts keep evolving and you're peeling back these layers of this onion of your mind. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss that. All right, so I'm really excited that you're here with me. I am a conscious life and success coach, and I help people, just live their best damn life, get what they want, train their mind to focus on solutions and the reality that they prefer, especially with self-concept, self-love, and the version of people, experiences, whatever it is that you want to manifest. So before we dive into today's video, if you feel like you need additional support, I have created a master list where the link is below for any services that you're interested in if you need additional support other than my free YouTube or my free group, the Self-Concept Community. So the link is below and you can pull it up and see, the offer about email coaching as well as what else is on there? My courses. I have the self-concept course in relationships. I also have the How to Manifest Your SP Back and Keep Them for Good course. And if you feel like you need a little bit of healing, I do have the Inner Child Masterclass that I created a while ago. It's really good. All of them are good. So anyways, details are below. So let's talk about this, right? This is something that happens a lot, and I get this a lot, not in my own personal life. I've experienced it in my manifesting journey and reprogramming my natural assumptions, as well as, feedback from clients that, look, the reality is this: when you're fucking reprogramming your mind, it's not a fun process all the time, and you just have to be real about the situation and understand that this is what this whole game is about. You're literally transforming your inner story. You are literally developing an entire new thought habit, which can range, tens of thousands of thoughts that are something new and different and consistent. And you're deprogramming the old way of thinking, and now you're reprogramming with the new way of thinking, which is why the repetition is really important when you think about this subject. So we have to look at something, right? So a lot of times when we're manifesting an SP back in, or love, or money, it doesn't really matter, it's all the same. It shows up more with people though, and here's why. This is why people feel like, oh, it's harder to manifest a person than it is like money or an inanimate object. And the answer is it's not. But this is why people believe it is, because the person is going to say things and do things that reflect your story. So you see, like in real time, shit that's either favorable or not, right? And like with money, we don't see that. It's either coming in or it's not, or it's flowing in a little bit, but it's very different. It's not this personal attachment that people have where the money just said it didn't love me or it didn't want a relationship, right? Like nobody's experiencing that, right? Because if you are, then I don't know, because I haven't had money talk to me like that. So this is the kind of thing that, you have to be aware of and understand why it feels harder, but it's actually not. So you want to look at sometimes when you're affirming the story, like, especially if you guys are affirming like them coming in, some easy steps, like they're contacting me, they're pursuing me, they're saying this to me, which is totally fine. But if that's what you're doing and you start getting your movement and you start, seeing some evidence of, your 3D conforming to the new story in your mind, and then all of a sudden something shows up that's not favorable. This has happened to me. This is feedback that I get from people all the time, right? We kind of look at it like, what the fuck just happened? And, you got to just kind of have an attitude like that sometimes. And if you react to it, you react to it. Your goal is to do your best to try not to react to it. But again, you're human, so don't beat your fucking self up if you do, because you can just, again, you're the creator of your reality. So you don't have to attach a story that if I reacted, it's going to delay it somehow, right? You just always want to train yourself to be the best version of you and do your best and not constantly reacting. Okay, so enough about that. So let's look at this. So here's a great example that's actually come up recently. So if like you have, let's say your person's in your life and they're showing up and then all of a sudden you start, having an experience with them that's not favorable, this is where people struggle, right? People, not only do they react, which again is really, it's not huge of a deal if you get back into the mind of what it is that you want, right? And you start focusing on the version of them in your mind and the reality in your self-concept. But most people react and then they spiral, right? They spiral into the thinking, the old thinking pattern. They spiral into assuming the circumstances that have manifested mean they're not getting what they want. They spiral into assuming that these circumstances, it's just not working out in their favor, and like they're attaching so much meaning to what they're just experiencing as a circumstance that they go on this mental bender with their mind, and they're focusing on this fucking story that's not good for them, right? So sometimes what happens is, remember, you have 70,000 thoughts every single day in your mind, and a lot of us are reprogramming natural assumptions that are not favorable when it comes to relationships. So you're not going to be aware of all your subconscious thoughts around this area. And so what happens is it's like peeling, the layer off an onion, right? You peel a layer, there's another layer. You peel another layer, well, there's another one, and you just keep going and going and going, right? So this is what you can experience. So here's a great example with someone. So someone had an experience where their SP was trying to make them jealous and trying to flaunt other women in their face and like just trying to get a reaction out of them. And this person was like, why is this showing up? I've been affirming for a long time, like what I want, like I don't really understand this. And when we really look at what was going on, this person was able to identify that in other relationships, she had manifested the same thing. So she wasn't even aware of this when she was manifesting, something with her SP to begin with, right? It didn't show up until her SP reflected it back to her. So when she noticed it, it was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, what the fuck's happening? And she was able to see, okay, I felt insecure here, or maybe here or there. But it kind of dawned on her, like the next day, like, no, this is a running story I've had, because I've had other men in my life show up and do this same thing to me. So this happens a lot with people, right? People can be manifesting something with their SP, and then their SP is like moving in a favorable direction, and then they'll kind of show something that's opposing everything. Like they're hanging out with them, they're calling them a lot, they're texting them, they're taking out on dates, but they're like, I don't want a relationship still. So in this moment, when you do that, some people will react. And again, it's not the fucking end of the world. Just get back on the fucking horse, like ASAP, and keep focusing on your self-concept and this concept of them that's favorable for you. And just realize like, okay, there's going to be more layers that I'm peeling, and that your SP, he or she, is going to reflect back to you that maybe you weren't aware of until it's being reflected back to you. This is really what being a conscious creator is we're always creating. So when something's showing up that isn't favorable, you take notice of it and then you change it, right? You're creating something different rather than what was just manifested. And this is what you just have to do. You have to keep persisting. And I want you, for those of you that experience this, to not, even though it doesn't feel good, right? That would suck, right? Even though it doesn't feel good, you still need to be attaching a favorable story for you that I don't even know what's going on, but somehow, some way, this brings us even closer. Somehow, some way, like, this person has now changed and doesn't want to do that for me anymore and like deeply loves me, whatever, right? Like say whatever story you need to say that you buy into that, is always in your favor. And this is the work to do. This is how you break through these patterns. This is how you just keep pushing through and persisting no matter what. Because one of the things that, I look at with this, right, and I've shared this in other videos, is that when you are having like the opposite of what you want, right? Like I've seen this so many times in my life, all it's doing is revealing like all these opposing thoughts that you had maybe buried deep that you weren't aware of. Or they're even new or like more conscious opposing thoughts, like maybe you were aware of them. But they're just revealing these things to you. So I want to help you to start training, even though it doesn't feel good, to look at it as, okay, two things. One, this is getting me closer to my breakthrough to get the 3D conformed the way that I want, right? Because I'm seeing this reflected, and now I can focus on what it is that I actually want so that this doesn't continue. So that is literally getting you closer to what you want. And then I want you to look at too that, look at it as, I don't want to say gift, because I don't want somebody to want to punch me in the throat right now, but like, it kind of is, it's like indication. It's a a mirror reflection of something that is keeping you from getting what you want, right, in your internal story. So then look at it as, okay, so I can affirm, the opposite or what it is that I want until this conforms, because everything has to conform. So I just wanted to point this out today for anyone that, is not understanding this, because again, this is what's going to happen. Like, you're literally reprogramming a whole system, a whole belief system. And with belief systems, it isn't just one thought. It's usually tens of thousands of thoughts that are all intertwined about the belief system. So, we can't at this time know what all of those are, which is why people keep showing us what they are. So when you look at it and you take notice of it and it's not something that you desire, then you have to just take that deep breath. If you react, it's not the end of the world, but always remember your power is in your mind to focus on what it is that you want, right? But if you do react, again, you're not gonna fucking, ruin things. So I feel like people are tiptoe about that sometimes. But your power is always in your story, and just look at it as, okay, this is getting me closer. Somehow, some way, this is unfolding in my favor. Somehow, some way, this is moving me in the direction that I want, because now this thought is no longer going to manifest, because now I'm aware of it and now I'm affirming what it is that I want, and I'll persist in that until this circumstance dissolves. All right, so I hope you found this video helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.